I'm a guy that's 24. Each day I build some more. I like episode 7 and episode 8. I'm Rich Boy J. Hello boyos, Rich Boy J here back here with another video, and this is going to be another episode of Your Questions Answered. You guys know the drill. Put the questions in the comment section below if you want to see them answered next week. I know there's supposed to be a Starkiller episode coming out today. Unfortunately, I just wasn't able to get a ton of work done today. The orders that I needed for the rock work just didn't come in. They're in fact coming in tomorrow on May the 4th, so that was kind of annoying, and I also had an exam that I was preparing for, so wasn't able to really work too hard on Starkiller this week. So we're pushing that episode back, but instead today I figured why not do a YQA, give you guys at least some content for the day. So let's go ahead and get started. First question comes from Bricks Over Blocks. He says, what is the most overrated and underrated Clone Wars arc? That is a wonderful question. In terms of overrated, there's two that really come to mind. One, the Mortis arc. I just detest this arc so much. Like, it's not enjoyable for me to watch at all. It's so over the top. Like, Ahsoka turns dark. Like, Anakin sees that he's gonna be Darth Vader. His memory is wiped, so he doesn't remember it. Like, it's just too much, and I honestly just don't find it enjoyable to watch at all. Another one that I think is overrated is probably the Yoda arc at the end of, I think, season 6, the lost episodes. I don't know why it seemed like the Clone Wars tried to go so out of the way to show that there were so many red flags waving right in front of the Jedi's face, yet they were all just too dumb to do anything about it. Like, I don't know, it just never sat well with me. Like, I know part of the story is that the Jedi, you know, were flawed, but they didn't have to be stupid. Like, I just never understood why that was such a thing in the Clone Wars and even the prequels. So those are probably the two arcs I'd say are the most overrated. In terms of underrated arcs, I think this one people will usually agree is pretty good, but I think this arc is phenomenal. It's the arc where Barriss Offee sabotages Ahsoka. Like, that's probably my favorite Clone Wars arc. I think it is just wonderfully executed. It tells the story so well, and it really makes you feel for Ahsoka, and I just love that so much. Like, and it just really makes you feel for Ahsoka. Like, the emotion is there, everything is set up so perfectly. I love the, you know, the fact that Barriss ended up being the one kind of coordinating all of this. Like, that was just such a good group of episodes, and I personally thought it would have been a great way for Ahsoka to exit the show. That didn't really end up happening because she's basically a Jedi again now, but I enjoyed it for what it was at the time. Next question comes from Blue Brick. He says, question not related to Lego Star Wars or Lego Star Wars. What movies do you like besides Star Wars? Whenever I find time to watch a non-Star Wars related movie, I like to enjoy myself some Back to the Future. I think the original Back to the Future is a perfect film. It's like a New Hope-esque to me. Like, it's nice, contained story, and they continued making films, and unlike, you know, the Star Wars trilogy, I think the next two films were like considerably worse than the original, whereas Empire is debatably better or as good as A New Hope, and Return of the Jedi is still very good. But I really do love the Back to the Future trilogy. That's easily my second favorite movie franchise, right behind Star Wars. One of my favorite childhood films has to be Small Soldiers. I just love that movie so much. I'm also a big fan of Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm a casual fan of the Marvel films, but Guardians of the Galaxy just feels so Star Wars-esque that I find myself really gravitating towards those films. I was a huge fan of the original Spider-Man films. I think the new ones are much better, but at the time when I really just wasn't into superheroes in general at all, Spider-Man was the one hero that I actually found myself fascinated by. Next question comes from Brickopotamus. He says, when would you recommend a Lego channel start doing live streams? Like, how many subscribers do you think is a good number to start streaming? It just depends on how much patience you have, I guess. Like, if you're not a huge channel and you're fine doing a live stream that might average 5 viewers, then I'd say go for it. You know, like, as long as you have someone to interact with, then the live stream still feels like it's worth your time. If you're not averaging very many viewers at all, and there's not like a constant conversation you can keep with the viewers, then I'd say at that point maybe it's just not worth it for you, because I mean, you may as well just be building on your own. But I mean, really any channel size, if you have, you know, devoted followers who, where there's at least a couple people there at any given time in your stream, I'd say that's worth it, because the streams are a place for your fans to see your personality in, a non-edited video setting, like you don't get the opportunity to cut out things that you don't want to say. Like, you will very much so come across as who you are in the live streams. Like, it is unfiltered in that way. So it gives you a good time to just build that connection with your fans, and it's worth it at any channel size, as long as there's someone there for you to interact with. That's what I would say. Next question comes from Burger Studios. He says, for the next YQA video, how did you start getting into buying Lego before your channel? When I first started buying Lego in my adult life, I was mostly just buying pieces from MOCs. I hardly bought any sets, which in hindsight is kind of sad, because I got into Lego around 2013, which was, I think, just a wonderful year for Lego Star Wars. We got that incredible episode 2 wave. Like, there was stuff from the Jabba's sequence from episode 6 on shelves. There were just a lot of really good sets on shelves, and I just didn't get very many, if not any of them. Like, I ended up with a gunship. It was one that I actually bought used, and I ended up with an ATTE that's mostly just pieced out in my collection. But like, if I was the kind of collector I am right now, during that time, I would have bought multiples of both of those sets, like, no doubt. But yeah, I was mostly just trying to get parts for my MOCs. Like, I was kind of trying to figure out how I could somehow build large-scale MOCs, because that was what I was really inspired to do. So I was always getting pad cups, placing Bricklink orders, just trying to figure out this whole MOC building thing. It really wasn't until like the Force Awakens sets came out to where I really just started buying a lot of sets. And then once I started doing my channel, I obviously, started buying even more sets, because I wasn't actively doing reviews, but I was at least trying to collect the minifigures, like for the minifig wall. And also I started doing the full weight reviews. So I'd say in general, I started off with mostly just buying pieces from MOCs, and then I started collecting the sets that I really wanted, and now I pretty much buy all the sets except for those helmets. Not gonna do it. Next question comes from Dark. He says, hey Jay, what is the cheapest way to buy minifigs in large quantities for a MOC like Geonosis or Scarif? Great question. Like, I'm gonna put it this way: buying minifigs in large quantities is just never going to be cheap. It just isn't, especially the day and age we live in. Minifigs for a lot of people are the most important part of Lego sets, and sellers know that, and they will charge you accordingly. So unfortunately, we just kind of live in this landscape where if you want to build a large scale MOC with a lot of figures, you're gonna have to pay the price. Unless there's like a battle pack currently on shelves, you're gonna have to pay what people are asking for online, and there's no real way to get around that. Bricklink is usually what I use to get figures, and fortunately with a lot of the MOCs I've done, I've had a battle pack to kind of supplement it, so I haven't had to go on Bricklink and buy a bunch of figures, from individual sellers, really, for any of the MOCs that I've done, right? Like when we were doing Scarif, there was the Rebel and Imperial battle packs that were out that were literally just perfect for that. Like, there was really nothing more we needed, I guess, aside from the Scarif bunker set, because that was the only one that came with the Shore Troopers. But even those, like, they were still on shelves, so we were able to get a decent amount of them to basically have enough figures for the whole MOC. That wasn't really an issue. When we went to Crate, it was a little bit of a different story. Like, we had a bunch of Resistance figures because there was a Resistance battle pack. However, the specific like Crate variants of the figures were only in like bigger sets. There was no battle pack for that, so we did have to buy a few of those on Bricklink, but they weren't super expensive because they were still in sets that were currently on shelves, so people were able to get them pretty easily. Then we went to Vardos. Vardos, of course, coincided with the Inferno Squad battle pack, which is just literally the most perfect thing that's ever happened to me with building a MOC. Like, I can't put into words how just ideal of a circumstance that was. So that was nice. And at that time, Lego was releasing sets with the new Stormtrooper helmet, so that's just what I ended up using for that MOC. So I mean, it's really just going to boil down to, like, if you want to build a MOC with a minifig that's not currently in sets, I mean, you're going to have to pay the price of what Bricklink sellers are asking for. That's why I would really urge anyone to try to get as many of any battle pack that's an army builder. And when I say army builder, I don't mean one that you need, dozens of. Just any battle pack that comes with minifigs that you'd want like at least 10 of. That way, if you decide you want to build something from whatever era, you'll at least have a good starting point, you know? Next question comes from Cameron Corsino. He says, I went back and watched the Vardos update on the propaganda posters, and it sparked the question, how did you make those? Oh yes, those Vardos propaganda posters were some of the coolest parts of that build. It was really just such a unique thing, because I've never seen anyone actually do anything like that for a MOC, and I actually still have them. I don't know if you guys can see them, but they're actually up there on that shelf. I think that's it right there, that like red stripe. That's actually all of them stacked on top of each other. Actually, no, the red stripe is Admiral Versio, but they're sitting right next to him. Anyways, I didn't make those. I actually had some awesome fans make them. I basically just reached out and said, hey, does anyone know how to do this? And they made Lego versions of the propaganda posters for me. I don't remember the exact names right now. I know Chris Cross Croc was probably one of them, because he's done a lot of graphic design work for me. And I know there were at least 2 other people who made some pretty incredible Vardos posters for me. So I couldn't tell you how to do it. I didn't do it, but shout out to the people who did, because that really helped make that MOC what it was. Next question comes from Zach T. He says, have you considered making a Microscale series fleet or MOC? I know you like building a minifig scale, but if you were to build a Microscale, you would be able to build larger scale MOCs and ships. I think that would be cool. At this point, I just don't foresee me doing anything Microscale anytime soon. Like, there are people out there who do Microscale much better than I do and are much just more interested in doing it. Like, I have an appreciation for it, certainly, but it's just not the thing that excites me about Lego building. So I couldn't say like, oh yeah, I would love to do a micro build at this time, because it's just not really what I like to do. If it's something that I can't build close-ish to minifig scale, I'm probably just not gonna do it. Next question comes from RoboNut03. He says, great video. What do you look for in MOCs when choosing creations for your MOC showcase videos? This is a great question. I think that I'm always just looking for people that are using unique build techniques, because that's really the biggest purpose for it. Like, I want to show people, like, look, like, this is what you can do to achieve certain techniques. And I love just learning about the techniques myself. You know, it's just a great way as a MOC builder to see what other people are doing, and then just get ideas for future techniques that I might want to implement into MOCs. Other than that, I honestly just try to look for things that you haven't seen before. Other than that, I just really try to look for MOCs that you guys haven't seen before. Like, the place where I get my MOCs from, it's not like a huge public forum. Like, it's public obviously, but I don't think a lot of the MOCs get the recognition they deserve. So if it's something I think that, you know, deserves to be seen by many people, the audience that I've at least built up, that's really what I try to go for with the MOC showcase. But that's gonna finish up the video today, guys. I hope you enjoyed checking out your questions answered. It is no longer just Lego Star Wars or Lego Star Wars related questions, but ask me literally anything and I might just answer. So if you guys like what I do, go ahead and support the video by hitting the like button, support the channel by smashing that subscribe button, and I'll be back again very soon.